kind of look like Ryan Garcia.
No, I don't know if he's. I don't know.
I'm kind of confused on what's going on.
I genuinely think he's doing that out of advertisement. You can't just go from the kids, and all these stuff and time travel to watch my fight.
Yeah, Logan Paul has his podcast, and it was him, Mike, and KSI, and they were talking about him in the situation, and Brian Garcia went on like a rant and was like calling him out, and was saying that Prime is like
the death string.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
but
I like Prime.
Well, see that. Well, I mean, that's like any drink or anything that's consumable nowadays in the U.S. market could be considered a poison drink. Like Red Bulls could be the same thing, same ingredients, not same thing, but like same aspect of how it's created. And
Artificial.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It could be called a death drink. So I don't know. I'm losing credibility for Ryan Garcia as fast as I got to know him and of him.
Yeah.
Because if it is for marketing, it did work. Because I'm not too much into any sort of fighting or boxing. I didn't know who he was, really. I heard of him, but I wasn't invested into him. So when all this conspiracy stuff started happening, I was like, oh, who is this? Let me, tune in a little bit more. Let me go see. And now I follow him on X, all this stuff. And I'm like, okay. But now it's like when I watch him blow up about a bunch of conspiracies, and then, but my fight, this and that, I'm like, how are you going to go from this crazy amount of like, accusing
I feel like I get where he's coming from, because right now what he's really pushing is save the kids, which is a relevant topic,
of course.
But I guess the way that he's going about it is really out there, and he's also trying to bring down other people with that.
Yeah.
So it's like maybe it is for the fight, maybe it's just like a really big promotion, but at the end of the day, save the kids.
Yeah.
Yes, because it's like we all know trafficking unfortunately happens, right? One of the biggest productions of like a source of income, unfortunately, right? It's so big out there, and that it's such a, I'm not gonna say the word easy, but such a vulnerable topic to grab, throw it out there, and say where's your proof? But reality, we don't really need proof, because we know it's already happening. So how can we stop it from happening?
Right.
And that's where I think that he utilized. I'm not saying that he's not. I'm not saying he's lying or anything, but I'm just saying because of the whiplash of how do you go from that strong conspiracies just to back to advertising, like it didn't happen. It's like confusing, but that's all.
Wait, weren't you the one that sent me the? Because I was literally working on containers, and you sent me the video.
I sent it to both of you guys.
Yeah.
Dude, that's insane.
Gnarly.
Yeah, and for anybody who's listening, it was a video about like an old
Shipping yard.
It was like a news anchor. It was an old news report of a shipping yard, and the workers found a container. They popped it open. I forgot why, but there was.
I think it was a really bad like smell, right? And they were like, "What is going on?"
Yeah.
They popped it open and found
dismembered baby parts and whatnot from, I think, probably abortion clinics and all this other stuff. But who knows where else that could have came
up all the way to
the top. And that's just like, it's
like you don't have
you don't have words.
You don't have words for it. And just imagine the people that were there that went through that. Like, that's definitely a traumatizing experience to have gone through, for sure.
Well, my thing too is like, if Ryan Garcia is using such a severe topic as this to promote his fight, like, dude, shame to him. So, like, part of me wants to believe him, but part of me doesn't, because it is so close to the fight. But it is kind of weird how he switched up, which, I mean, there could be other powers in play making him focus on the fight, you know what I mean? To try to, like, make this all seem fiction, you know, to say the least. But, yeah, the word that came to mind is like psychotic. Right? It's like a 3-syllable word for a thought too big for little brains. And so even him bringing this forth, people think he's psychotic because they can't even comprehend like that idea that that's happening. But also back when you said, when you were like, maybe they just live such a different lifestyle. But I was just like thinking about what we learned too. Like, we actually will never know outside of what we learn unless we experience it ourselves.
Right.
Like going to the moon. Like we will never know if the moon
Landing.
happened unless we're actually the ones to get in a rocket ship and fly out there.
Let's do it.
That'd be sick.
Get in contact with Bezos.
Elon Musk.
Oh. I like how we both had our own different.
I'd go Elon.
See, that's the right answer. I just said Bezos just out of
He has his own company too, though, I believe.
something like that. But because he took the time to go to space to beat records, like if you just got money to blow like that, it's like cool. Throw us on a thing real quick to go see if the world's flat or to go see the moon.
Will be the testing dummies.
Yeah, but that's why I connected to Bezos first, because somebody who just kind of
Yeah.
wasted away versus Musk that does efficient stuff.
Uh-huh.
Well, really quick, what do you guys think about the Cybertruck?
Ooh.
I think it's overhyped.
What?
If I had money, if I could get one for free, no thing. I mean, I would get it, but then okay. If I had two choices in front of me, a Cybertruck or this other truck, I'd go with the other truck of my choice. It's overhyped.
I'd probably definitely go with the Cybertruck.
Really?
It reminds me of something that belongs on the moon,
Yeah.
or in Halo. Like, and I was
I know what you mean.
freaking playing Halo all the time, but I don't know. It has a futuristic look to it, and like just like all the angles that it's at. I've seen it because I've been driving the SF now, and it's like when you see it in person, you're just like,
Sick.
whoa,
So
what is this? Yeah, it'll freaking break your neck because you're like,
Yeah.
and then the headlights are just crazy, just like a line across.
Have you seen it started rusty now or something like that too?
I heard about that. Were you the one that was telling me that they were?
I don't think I've brought it up. I just know I've seen a bunch of news articles are like they're starting to rust because of the weather and a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're sick. Like the appearance is dope, and they're new. Like they look very futuristic,
And they're
but
durable with like power.
yeah, I've been watching a lot of videos about the performance though, and it's like, yeah, they test them when they're perfect weather conditions or
That
no
makes
stereo playing or no whatever. I think like if they were to revamp it and kind of fix the kinks, it would be sick. I would like them, but then you also see them go off road, and they don't do very well.
Oh, really?
There was something about that actually, that in order to go off road, in order to access one of the other features, they said that there's gonna be a software update to get access to that. Or
Isn't
something.
that crazy?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you have to get a software update to get your car running like a
to go
certain
off
way.
road. Like,
yeah.
huh?
Dude, that is so crazy to me. But yeah, the technology is sick. I mean, Tesla in general is pretty dope. Have you guys driven a Tesla?
Dude, no. but,
I don't really have interest in Tesla. Like that.
what?
To
I
drive,
was
to
talking-
drive one.
I'm more old school. I'm more like gasoline, diesel, big. Some like go off road.
So you
Like,
would
that's
never,
what I would
you'd
go
never
for.
get an electric car.
Well, I drive a Prius.
But I did watch a study, and Prius outperformed Tesla.
What?
Yes, it was a video, and they're like, comparing their performance, mileage. I think it was just mileage and like weather conditions. They put them through different testing, and Prius actually outperformed Tesla, which
That's
was pretty sick.
As much as I
Well,
don't
even
like
the
my
new
own car,
Priuses are. I think they're so.
dude, the new
sick.
Prius is wild. That like
Looks like
it's
a freaking
recorded, right?
hypercar. They're dope, but I mean, Tesla is like they're crushing it. But I encourage that you at least drive one to see how they are, because they're pretty sick. My buddies have one,
Yeah.
and I was like, bro, they're so fast, so simple and quick.
0 to 60 in what?
I've seen a lot of after market
think
stuff like
shorter.
that where their batteries gave out, or like there's always that one video that blows up where it's like that one random weird like factory thing that happened, and then he got locked out of his car, or the battery stopped working, it cost X amount of money to fix it and all that. But I'm pretty sure those are one-offs.
I heard that
I think
electric vehicles are really hard to put out if they catch fire. Yeah, so that's like another issue that people were talking about, because it'll just keep burning.
Yeah. Well, my one thing too is like, because they're so indestructible, right? Like Tesla's like bulletproof, the glass doesn't break.
Yeah.
It's like, what if a drunk driver smacks another car? Because I mean, cars aren't. I mean, they're built pretty durable, but I mean, compared to a Tesla, like, can you imagine your Prius getting hit by a Tesla? You'd probably die, dude.
I think it's more
I'll be
the,
fine, bro.
the
I got God.
Cybertruck that's more durable, because
Yeah.
Teslas.
Oh,
I mean,
sorry, I didn't mean Tesla. I meant Cybertruck.
Yeah. I think the Cybertrucks are the ones that are more like durable. But yeah, like you look at that Cybertruck and versus like my little 2000 BMW, I'm gonna get destroyed.
Dude, you're getting ran through.
Yeah. And you know what? That would be cool to see, like tests accidents in a Cybertruck.
That'd That would be sick.
I wonder how it would turn out with like two cars going head to head. How it would turn out.
I'm pretty sure there's somebody who's already done
I'm
that.
pretty sure
like
too,
somebody who has the money just to go buy them.
Dude, have you seen the Cybertruck? Like a black wrap, and it's lowered. It looks so sick.
Dude, they're sick. People are doing some pretty crazy
Yeah,
things
I'm like,
with the
dang,
Cybertruck.
this thing looks sick.
Dude, when I think of Tesla, though, and I don't know if we've had this discussion, but have you seen the movie I, Robot?
Mm.
Yeah.
With Will Smith?
Yeah, a long time ago.
Bro, that is
That's
what
what it
I feel
reminds you
like the age that we're heading into.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
And-
it's already the bots and stuff like that.
Yeah, bots, AI, electric vehicles, all controlled through a computer system. Like the updates too, you know what I mean? Like that's pretty crazy. I'm a huge fan of like
so
keep it old
what
school.
if the government like tracks down on you and they're like, oh, you missed the payment, we're gonna turn off your car.
They've done that.
What?
No, not they've. So the word is so. I forgot if it was Tesla directly or any other self-automated vehicle, where if you miss a payment because it has auto drive, that company can then have that car drive itself back to the factory.
No way.
I've heard talks about that, but the way they sold it, like the way they sold it to the customers, where hey, if your car ever gets robbed, that we the factory can go ahead and have that car drive back to your house or whatever, and then you have your car back. So, but in reality,
Well, I mean,
more likely you might miss a payment.
It could be pretty realistic. I mean, like think about Google Maps, all the GPS. I feel like, and then autonomous mode on top of that, like
Yeah,
self-driving
yeah.
cars. Have you guys seen Leave It All Behind or The World We Left
Oh,
Behind?
I know what you're talking
Dude,
about.
you guys gotta watch
I
it.
tried to get into it and I couldn't finish
No,
it.
it's very slow, but towards the end it starts to get kind of crazy. But the Teslas,
Oh,
they
wait,
use
I
the
heard.
Teslas to stop all the freeways
Didn't
because they
Obama
control.
make that movie? Or direct that
Obama and
movie?
Michelle and Barack
Produced it or
Obama
something?
were like the producers. Yeah.
Dude, it's so good, but I think it's good because it's eerie the entire time and kind of like slow, but
And
also
it's like it almost could be real.
yeah, it literally could happen. And I was like, oh my god, that kind of terrorist attack would be crazy. But anyways, yeah, the iRobot thing freaks me out a little bit because I'm like, what if that does happen?
I mean,
we're on the verge. I mean, we're doing everything now, as in the movie, but like, Elon Musk is gonna rule the world, and AI just wants to get rid of humanity.
Yeah, did you hear about like the AI chat bots being like racist and whatnot?
Gemini, Google's chatbot,
I
where
think
it wasn't
so.
depicting any other race. So it was depicting every race besides white people. So like the Vikings were Japanese people, or samurais, or African Americans, or something. It just wouldn't depict any Americans or just white people. It wouldn't depict any of that. Is that what you're talking about?
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was exactly that, but it was among those lines. I was like, what? But all this AI, it's like, okay, how far are we gonna go with this? Because it can get out of hand like that, like really quick.
It really can, because there's no limit. Because when you install AI into everything, like to be vulnerable right now, because I did my taxes recently and now I'm doing my taxes again for my small business. I have a tax thing that tracks my receipts and it's all AI based. So it finds all my receipts and says, hey, would you like to count this as a deductible for your business? And I'm like, yes, I'll swipe like that.
Yeah, see,
like, that's
and
AI.
then think about how much jobs are being taken away from AI, big time. So it's like, how far are they going to go with this? Are there going to be any regulations? I'm pretty sure there are regulations, but I don't know what exactly.
So, do you think like people in the dark web use AI?
Oh, for sure.
Hey,
Dark
what
web
would you
is-
use that
I've-
for?
oh
Do you think
God,
there's
I have
dark
this horrible
AI?
memory of the
Dark
dark web.
AI?
AI demons or something?
Dude, yeah, there could be people out there that like make their own, that just have evil intentions, and they're like, okay, we're gonna create a iRobot that's gonna take over the world or something like that.
Yeah, but honestly, too, with like 3D printing and AI and all this technology, I'm like,
You could 3D print a gun now, so.
yeah, you can. I know people.
Said I know a guy.
I do.
After pod, because I'm not gonna say this, remind me to talk about human nuggets on the dark web. It's as bad as it sounds, because I'm not gonna talk about that on here, but it's
Cool.
horrid.
Okay.
It's just discussing
that
how humans
sounds
can get.
crazy.
And talking about, I guess, discussing how humans can get from the dark web and stuff like that. Where do we want to go? I don't even know how to dive into that. What do you guys think about? Not what do you guys think about? I mean, you guys clearly saw the immigrant children that are say that they're going to foster homes, but it could be possibly that they're being trafficked. What do you guys think? And this is something I talked about with my girlfriend. Was I kind of feel bad for all the immigrants that are coming to America, because yeah, it's advertised as it's safe, it's this, all these benefits and blah blah blah. Then there's a political side where it's a war going back and forth of, hey, we don't want the immigrants here and there. But when you really think about it, when you have undocumented people entering the states, that's like a
easy catalyst for people to just get abducted.
thank you.
Yeah.
That where it's just it creates an environment where people can easily be abducted, trafficked, kidnapped, killed. Serial killers get spiked where, hey, I'm only going to target undocumented people because if there's no record of them being here, you know,
How would you know
it sets them in a spot where they're just so open just to be a victim of people's horrendous habits that is on this planet.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, they don't. I mean, I don't. I'm not someone who does that.
Yeah.
But from watching movies, I mean, they look for people without like large families that aren't really on record. And if you're an immigrant illegally coming to the U.S., like
it's an easy target.
Easy target.
Yeah, very much so.
And I just watched, dude. I don't know why I've been watching so many movies, but I watched a movie similar to that.
Wait,
where
Freedom,
it's,
what is it called?
Sound of Freedom.
I was gonna say freedom of speech, but yeah, the Sound of Freedom.
Is that the one you're talking about?
No. It's a different. It's like a
that's a
newer
really
movie.
good movie.
I can't remember the title of it, but basically, like, the parents were sending off their kid to a boarding school, and the boarding school ended up being like a testing site, and like they would think they're sending them to this school, but they're actually kidnapping them and sending them to a like medical facility where they're doing testing on kids.
It's almost like Stranger Things.
Well, there's a bunch of shows like that. Yeah.
Sounds like an old Logan Paul movie.
I mean,
Logan Paul.
I think he was in a
Things
movie
is
something like that.
probably more well known.
Could be wrong.
But
Yeah. Well, and I don't know if it was exactly like that, but it was like a facility where they were doing certain types of tests on kids.
dude, what do you think they're like? I don't know. I'm thinking of now. I watched Deadpool too. Do you think those movies are good? Do you think they test on humans like that to make them superhumans, super soldiers?
Oh, like Captain America?
Yeah, Captain America, Deadpool. Like, do you think they have that
like The Boys.
currently happening? Yeah,
Oh yeah,
trials.
The Boys.
Yeah, Vought.
Such a good show.
I maybe back then. Maybe even
Nah,
now.
maybe
even
more now.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with
But they're probably like top secret, like
oh yeah, we're never gonna hear of it.
right
It's based if it's the government or if it's some private
company or something.
company that's doing it. We're never gonna hear about it because their question is if they're already doing something illegal, or not the question, but the way they would work if they're doing something illegal, you get out, they're just gonna
Mm-hmm.
don't have to worry
Yeah.
about you.
They
Especially
keep
if you're
it secret.
undocumented.
Dude, what if it's like a steroid and like you take a certain steroid and you're just like crazy like
Superhuman.
Hulk?
That'd be crazy. There's probably stuff really like out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it just like blows me. I've just been thinking about. I know I said this before, like, but death and things in life that we just won't know is credible, unless we experience it firsthand. Yeah. You know what I mean? Well, I'm just like, dude, I've just been thinking so far about like the way that we learn and teach our kids, and you know, like my kid is growing up too, and I'm like, he's only ever gonna know what I teach him or what he learns from other people or his own personal experiences. But like talking about conspiracies, Illuminati, rich people, it's like there's just so much in this lifetime that we won't ever experience firsthand, but we're just told it. You know what I mean? Which begs the question of you know, showing interest in religion and having all those questions. I'm like, yeah, that's so fair though, because like there's so many concepts.
Because it's like there are a whole bunch of questions that can be asked, but at the same time, I guess for religion or having, you know, that spiritual connection, it's all about faith, and we kind of spoke on that not too long ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just I've just been going too deep into it. I don't know why, just recently too, but dying has been my biggest thing, and it's like the fear of death is pretty crazy. Like it's such.
Are you scared of death? If you don't mind me asking.
Oh yeah.
Are you scared of death?
Like I don't want to die, but I'm not afraid of it.
How come you're scared of death? If you don't mind asking.
Yeah, absolutely. Good question. And it's, how I go out, that's obviously unpredictable, right? Like, we can die any way, any place, anytime. But I think it's just like the more that I'm thinking about life in general and how much that like I just haven't experienced, and then having this son, and also just the unknown of like what happens to my conscious, because right now we're sitting with each other, but in another lifetime, what if we're like this is it? And then I'm thinking about hitting my 30s, and I'm like, dude, I'm literally gonna be 60 one day, looking back at life like, dude, it's
Looking
over.
back at the pod.
Like your youth
A
is done.
successful brand that was built in the garage.
Yeah, like your youth is just over. It's inevitable, irreversible, and it's like
It's the
it just
cycle of
makes
life.
me but it's just like 60 not be able to hit the gym or to travel, and like I mean,
You still can.
you know what I mean? As
Yeah,
now-
It's
No,
like
yeah,
it's changing.
You won't be
Yeah.
at your peak
You're-
anymore around there.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then you see like the elderly who are in wheelchairs and like
Yeah.
and stuff
and
like
you,
that.
And
I'm
you
like,
hear
ah,
stories from the older people that are like our grandparents, and they're like, you want to live life because it's just gonna fly by.
yeah. And so it's like that is my fear, is just like, what if I don't do enough to make me feel satisfied for the way that I lived? But other side of the same coin, it's pushing me to really be like, cool, like I just need to do more. Like I need to like start new hobbies or
like me.
travel, or like meet new people or go and get experiences and like have stories to tell my son, and like be able to share stuff with him too, and like walk life together, so he's just like exposed to adventure. You know what I mean? So like the fear of dying, yes, it's just more of the time just ticking and it's running out, and I don't want to be stuck in a stagnant place where I'm like, my time is being wasted.
Yeah, because time isn't gonna wait for you. Time is literally.
Time is
But
everybody's
also,
enemy.
It's a. Just going forward.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to word that.
Yeah,
properly,
it
but
always
yeah,
is.
time
It keeps going.
Time is going forward.
It's like a
Yeah.
train that doesn't stop.
It's never gonna stop, and it's not gonna go backwards. It's not gonna wait for you.
no, time is of the essence too. It's like, how are you using your time? What are you doing with your time? Who are you spending your time with? I just hate wasting time. But anyways, the fear of death is just me being like, there's just so much to do in so
Am I
little
gonna be able to
time.
do enough?
And then
while I'm
like
here?
once the lights go out, like I know we talk about religion and going to heaven and hell, but at the same time, it's like I enjoy the people that I'm with, what I'm doing, who the experiences that I've gotten, and it's like, does that all just like,
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I think about reincarnation, and then it makes me also grateful.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
it makes me also grateful for the way that I was born in this lifetime, healthy. I mean, my vision sucks, but
Yeah, mine too. I'm like,
yeah, but like at least I was born in America. I didn't have the greatest life growing up, but I would I feel
You're still
very
making the best
privileged.
out of it.
You know what I mean? Yeah, because what if I was born in freaking Antarctica?
Dude, I tell that people like a lot. It's like,
Isolated.
appreciate your life, because you could have been born in a third world country where they're making child soldiers out of you. They're raping and pillaging, like villages and all that stuff like that. But you're blessed here where you have this luxury stress where you have to worry about your Wi-Fi if it's on. You have to worry about, did I leave the stove on or could burn down the house? Like, bro, at least you have a house to burn down.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. So it's just like, the concept of death has just been on my mind, and it's not like I'm trying to like kill myself it's just more of the fear of like, dang, like I just don't want to get old and feel unsatisfied with the way that I lived, but also like I just don't want to close my eyes and not wake up one day. You know what I mean?
And that's a scary thought actually, because that could happen.
Yeah.
You just don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You can go to sleep tonight and
That's it.
that's it. Yeah.
What do you guys think happens when you die? Like, do you guys...
Actually, really quick,
Yeah.
because we're on the topic of death. Right now, if you, and I don't mean it, but like if you were to pass away right now, where do you think you're going? Are you going to heaven or are you going to hell?
Oh man, I mean, I've had this conversation multiple times too. I think from my past, there are things obviously that probably I've done that are unforgivable, right? That would cause me to go to hell. But my thing too is like, I have learned from those mistakes, and what I did and who I was isn't who I am now. Right. And I think that's the thing that people should learn. Like, it's never too late to correct your wrong. Like, you can always change, you can always be better. But in short answer, I would hope that I, go to heaven. but then again, I'm like, yeah, there's just some things that I've just had to accept and be like, cool, But it's not. It was who I was at the time, and I've forgiven myself and took the right steps to make amends. Um, but now, just looking into that, I'm like, yeah, I feel confident in the way that I'm living now, in who I am. Like I've had a change of heart. I've grown mentally. I've bettered my friendships. Like my son has made me a better human, and my intentions in this life aren't to never like belittle or hurt anybody. It's more of the like, I'm going to challenge you to be better, and I'm going to surround myself by people who do the same. And hopefully at the end of my days, I'm like, cool, I have people at my funeral.
Yeah.
I laugh a little because everything I think is what you're saying out loud.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I always look back at the little personality test or whatever. I was like,
And you guys are similar.
yeah, it's like very similar. Like, okay, that makes sense then, But
What
it's
about
funny
you?
seeing it.
Yeah,
Me?
dude, it is. Yeah, what about you, since we're similar? And then one last hobby.
If I was to die, if I go to heaven or hell,
Dear alien.
That's a hell noise.
It is.
I'm flicking my tongue on the roof of my mouth. For anybody who heard that, but would I go to heaven or would I go to hell? I think I'll confidently say that that's up for God to decide.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, that was bugging me. Because I'm not perfect. I don't claim to be perfect. I know I have great intentions in my heart. I know that I've hurt people in my life. I know I've done things I'm not supposed to do and still doing things I'm not supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, I strongly believe that if you were to weigh my heart on a scale, probably be 60 good, 40 bad. I'm not saying like that 40% would be bad as in I'm going out of my way to go hurt people with ill intentions.
Mm-hmm.
But that 40% is what God frowns upon with like what I do in private, or that's a sin, or hey, you shouldn't be talking about that person or whatever. And I would want to say confidently like, hey, I'm going to go to heaven. But I just don't know because there's that verse in the Bible that talks about like turn away from me for I never knew you.
Mm-hmm.
And like where there's going to be millions of people who say, hey, God, I know you have this and that. But he's just going to say, turn away from me because I don't know you. It's like, and that's why every time like I come to this pod, I always mention have that relationship with God before, worshiping the church all the time and all this other stuff like that. And we read the comments and some of them are valid with what they're saying. But it's like that. What I'm trying to say is when I say that is get to know God, because then you're going to want to worship him and you're going to then you're going to want to go to church and worship him, and that's what's going to bring you to a church, to a better community, to a better life and whatnot. So you start off with building that relationship. But sometimes people have it backwards, or maybe not backwards, but sometimes people start taking the hard route where they'll try to go to church, no, because that contradicts itself. I'm overthinking as I'm talking. Scratch that, because I'm not gonna clip. I'm not gonna clip that or whatever, because it's all crazy. But just to go back to your question, that's up for God to make, genuinely, because I feel unworthy. Genuinely, I feel unworthy. Yeah. Even though as much as I try to preach it and help people and give Bibles, it's like at the end of the day, it's like
it's to me, it's like an interesting concept, because if you were to, at the end of the day, it's God's decision on where you're going. Yeah. But if we were sitting here and it's like, okay, if we had the choice, or like, I want to go to heaven. Yeah. But it's like, okay, you can take myself, for example, and then you can put yourself against like a murderer or a rapist. Mm-hmm. Well, then of course I feel like I'm going to go to heaven, because
like the thief on the cross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, it is God that is going to weigh the heart. But to me, it's like, well, if I'm comparing myself to all these people that have done really bad things, to me, that makes me like, oh, of course I'm going to go to heaven. Yeah. But at the same time, it's like, okay, well, what was that verse that you were talking about?
Turn away from me, for I never knew you.
Exactly. So it's about the relationship that you have with God as well.
Specifically, too. And I get what you're saying, and I think that's where people tend to justify their wrongdoing, is like, well, my little action compared to theirs is very small, so I can get away from it, or get away with it. And I work in like human relations, so I have that experience. But one thing that I try to teach young individuals too, right, because it's something you learn over time, right, and it's this: when they get in trouble for something, they tend to throw other people under the bus. But I'm like, this conversation is about your performance and what you did. And if it was such a big issue for you to bring it up now, why didn't you say anything earlier? Exactly. And what is their performance and their success have to do with yours? Because you know what's right, you know what's wrong.
I like that.
But using other people's mistakes or flaws or, making those comparisons, like, that's your fault. You know what I mean? It doesn't make it right. And it's obviously wrong because we're having this conversation. But I think we get so wrapped up in using that excuse of like, yeah, well, what I'm doing isn't as bad as like starving kids or raping
what Hitler did or
yeah,
something like that.
you know what I mean? And I think that's just a way for us. I mean, you said it, like, it just sounds like a weak Christian. Yeah. Christianity is not weak. Jesus isn't weak. It just sounds like you're weak.
It's yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But I do think that the question like going to heaven and earth, I mean, looking at my own life and what I've done, I think like I'm not going to be the judge of that, but I would hope that because of my changes that I've grown in, all right, or matured in, that I actually have like a fighting chance to be like, well, this is who I was and here's who I am now. And I hope that, and I think humans in general, they judge people based off of the past, but it's like, dude, give people a second chance. Like, not everyone is out here to hurt you. And I was just having this conversation actually, and I don't mean to get off topic with somebody, but they're like, I was like talking to this girl and she was just like, yeah, well, all men this and all men that, and like throwing shit on me. And I was like, that is so unfair to me for you to put your past experience with other men on me. Yeah. Like, you're going to be stuck in single, right? Yeah. Well, but it's like, that's really unfair. You know
it's
what
like I mean? She's almost generalizing all men are like this.
Yeah. And
all men are pigs mindset.
Yeah. And I think like in society, we tend to like, we just accumulate stuff from other people that don't pertain to, the individual at face. So,
but I feel like if roles were reversed, I feel like a lot of men do that with women as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And this is definitely vice versa. I think a lot of men too. Like, I think, our generation is just very insecure. And we're in the generation of broken hearts. It's just hard to explain. Because, like, I'm pretty confident in myself, right? I'm not arrogant. I don't think I'm better than anybody else, right? But when I'm having these conversations with people, it's like, well, people have to earn my trust and people have to earn my love. And I'm like, okay, like, that's cool that you make people work for that. Like, I get that's common. But, like, be so strong and love yourself so much and have so much trust in yourself that if someone wrongs you, that you can let go. Yeah. The reason you have trust issues is because people have wronged you and you kept coming back. Right. Because you didn't have integrity, you didn't have discipline, you didn't have self-restraint, and you put yourself in that position. So if there's anyone to blame, turn that finger back at you or look in the mirror, because like it should all start from with you. Like, I like to work from a place of love. I don't make people work for my love. So if I newly meet you, I hope that you feel my hospitality, my welcomeness. You have my trust until you don't. Right.
Exactly. Really quick. Yeah. You said you come from a place of love. How would you define that?
Yeah.
You do a really good job at that. I'm trying to learn that from you, and I don't want to jump around, but like to give you a compliment is I've realized like in public, if we're ever somewhere, you could feel an aurora of positivity around you, versus like me sometimes. And I'll use an example. The other day I was working with one of my clients, and I was working with one of the owners directly. And I saw one of the employees that were right next to him. But when I walked in, there was not a mutual greeting between like the three of us. It was more of a me talking directly to the owner, and then the employee was to the side. I kind of felt bad. I never gave that person like a hi, hello, you. But I pictured if John was here, he would have been, hey guys, this and that. I'm like, I need to be more like John in that way. But yeah, go ahead, continue.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's a perfect example. But when I say work from love, right, like, it should be a choice, your choice, to show people respect, to show people happiness, to show people trust, to show people welcoming, hospitality, all those words, right? All those feelings, emotions, adjectives. And so when I say that I work from love and don't make people work for my love, I'm saying like, cool, you are welcome into my space. I will always greet you, always say what's up, always smile. because I'm filled with love. But I don't need to do all these things because it's what you need for me to get your recognition. I'm doing it because it's who I am and not what you want from me. And I think people get it twisted where they're like, I need to perform in order to, like, talking, when you're in relationships, let's use this. If you're talking to somebody and it's like nail biting, right? You got to go, every inch is just like feels like a mile because you're trying to earn this person's love and earn this person's attention or respect or whatever it is. Dude, like, it's probably not the right fit for you, to be honest. Like, I get there's an extent that we fight for the people we love, but there's a reason why people say, if you know, you know, because it should be kind of effortlessly and meaning connection. Not saying there won't be obstacles and life doesn't happen, right? But one thing that I've learned is that I've always felt like I had to perform to either earn respect from my coaches, to be the best player, to prove to people that I'm worth something, to prove to people that I want them to stay, or in relationships, like making them my entire world. But it was because I was insecure. You know what I mean? And so at some point I was like, cool, like I shouldn't have to do all this to have you stay in my life. Like either you get to make the choice to be with me or you don't. And just like Jesus, right? God, like he gives us free will so that we can either choose him or we don't. Because it's all about a choice, whether you want to be with someone or you don't, whether you want to stay disciplined or don't, if you want to go to the gym or you don't. It all comes down to what choice. Your choice.
Beautifully worded.
Yeah.
That, yeah.
It's great advice right there, bro. I appreciate it. No, but yeah, dude, like everything you said it paints it well and you portray it well. You do practice what you preach. And a lot of people don't do that well. And that's something for my own self-improvement is that what I want to do? Is when I walk into a room, I want to be a little bit more, hey, how's it going? Because I'm just so locked in when I walk into a place. I'm like business, like, hey, directly to the client, because he's the one paying the bills, blah, 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 blah. But then some people get caught on the sideline. It's like, oh, okay, I'll just stand here awkwardly while they talk business.
No, absolutely. And I think we all kind of experience that at some capacity. And I think, like, to narrow it down, when we go to the gym and we see the same people we've seen weeks and weeks and weeks, my rule of thumb when I was like at In Shape or even in my local town, if I see you more than 3 times and we made eye contact, I had to say hi. That's why I met Javi, Daniel, you, Joel.
How do you start that? Like,
dude,
that's something I want to start doing because I
is?
see so many faces.
Can you spot me on bench? That's how I think that's.
Yeah. I either ask them for a spot, like, hey, dude, do you mind giving me a spot? And then that sparks the conversation of like, I see you here all the time. Like, what's your name, bro? Because that's so easy to just be like, what's your name?
Remember that.
You know what I mean? And even with like girls too, like it's not just guys. Like I literally tell girls like, hey, I've seen you here a lot. Like I'm not trying to hit on you, but it's awkward that we're seeing each other and don't know each other. You know what I mean? Like I'm not coming off aggressive. I'm acknowledging it that it's awkward. And I think most people are like timid to say stuff like, "Oh, it's awkward," or
that person.
Yeah, like because I think it breaks the ice. Like anytime I've ever made eye contact with someone, I'm like, "Hey, this might seem awkward. I'm not trying to like. Here's my intentions, right?
Yeah,
acknowledging that the situation, my intentions, and then, starting the intro.
Has that ever backfired where somebody took it as, "Oh, you are just hitting on me," but you're trying to be like a little bit more, I guess, like low key? Because I've thought about doing stuff like that. Or like break the ice and stuff like that. But I just feel like just feels like I'm trying to hit on somebody. But I'm in a relationship, right? So I would never do that. But it's like it just feels because the culture, the way that people have cultivated their mindset nowadays with gym culture, with this generation, that any guy who approaches a girl in public it's a form of hitting, a form of trying to get at them or something.
No, I mean, I personally haven't had that experience. And I'm not saying like I got charisma, you know what I mean? But
you do have that.
Thanks, but I think it's just I'm more clear and concise with my intentions. I'm literally like, hey, this is it. I'm just saying what's up, and that's it. And if conversations continue, like it goes from like the high, like to us actually having conversations. But and I guess this is my gym advice to dudes, like don't be aggressive, and girls don't be aggressive. I mean, guys are a little bit more open to it because in society, it's kind of like the guy who initiates everything. So when a girl does, it's like, wow, cool. This like dominance right there. But I think as a woman too, who's probably insecure, right? Feels all the eyes on them. And I'm speaking because I'm a dude who have definitely seen that happen. Like guys are just like are so straightforward sometimes. I'm like, bro, you didn't even say hi. You just acknowledge their body or whatever brought you to their attention, and you didn't even get a chance to have a conversation. And I think like it goes back to the old school ways of dating. Like, let's meet up. If I see you in person, let's have a conversation first.
I like that.
And see if we even are compatible in our interest. And I think you just learn that as you mature, because I've definitely talked to people recently and I'm like, if we would have just met in person, like, and had these conversations, I could have just defined the relationship there. Friendship, pursue something more significant. But yeah, I do think like, just to wrap this whole up and let you guys share your opinions. As far as like the gym culture goes, my only advice to people who have run into those individuals, right, that you see all the time is acknowledge that it is awkward. Everyone feels awkward talking at the gym unless you know somebody or have a catalyst being a friend that will introduce you.
Especially the eye contacts that just randomly happen.
But it happens, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
that
happens so much.
I feel like that happens to me so much. And I don't have my glasses on. So I'm like, oh, that person probably thought I was staring at him or something.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Or
I
just
can't
like
even
that.
see your face. I don't even know what you look like. I'm just happen to look that way. And I see you're looking this way. And I'm like, are we looking at, or are you looking at me? Because I don't really know what you look like. And I can't even see your eyes. I'm looking like around.
yeah, but that's funny. And yeah, for anyone who's watching right now, Javi does do that.
Yes. Sometimes they'll be saying like waving at me. And I'm like, are they waving at me?
We
or
have
who?
to
And
walk
I'm like, oh,
into the people
Rob.
he's trying to find. I feel like I'm leading a blind man.
These are visually impaired.
Yeah, which makes it awesome. But also, I just think, like, I mean, for people who do feel kind of like insecure going to start a conversation with people, because it is awkward, right? Acknowledge that it's awkward. Have that, just open up, because I think body language and image at the gym can be a deterrent for people feeling comfortable. Because, when I'm there, I'm locked in. I'm like, I'm ready to.
People,
Yeah.
people at the gym, when I don't really know who they are and then I kind of get to know them, they're like, oh, you're actually like pretty nice.
Yeah.
Because I'm always either locked in or just not like really being aware of my surroundings because I can't see. So I don't know what that person's doing or like. Yeah, sometimes it's bad. And I'm
But I guess like even like a beautiful example right here. You guys had previously seen each other at a different gym.
Mm-hmm.
I had known you. We have known you of each other back from elementary school and whatnot. You asked me to spot you, and look what this turned into. Where it's, I guess, and I should be, practicing what I preach is, I guess, don't be shy to start conversations or new friendships, no matter what, male or female, no matter what it is, because it could blossom to something much more beautiful. Since this is.
Yeah, and I think like people, not every encounter is going to end up in like a friendship too, but relationship at some capacity, whether it's a gym acquaintance or you guys do become friends like we did. But I think what people need to acknowledge is like, you already have a connection if you're seeing the same person week by week, which is you guys showed up at the gym.
Yeah.
Make that a topic of conversation and use that to support each other at that. You know what I mean? Like, and I think some of my best, friendships have come from me being like, hey, can you spot me real quick, bro? To just asking someone their name. And like after that, because I think I've asked people, and this was like before I was more confident building relationships. I've asked people for spots, and that was it. And then it was kind of awkward after that, because it's like, do I ask them for a spot again? Because I didn't really like take that additional step to get to know someone. I just appreciated what they did for me rather than who they are to me. Which I always make it a point. Anytime someone spots me, I will be like, cool, what's your name, bro? Like, or girl, I don't ask girls for spots. Sorry, not discriminating, but I need some big boys to help me out.
I feel honored.
Yeah.
Really quick, do you guys think males and females can have a genuine friendship?
That's a great question, because I used to strongly think that a male and female cannot be friends, or they cannot just be friends. And I stood by that so much because of my own past experiences. I'm not going to say anything, but something always ended up happening with any female relationship in my past. whether if it was good or whether if it's bad, or if it was temporary or if it was whatever. And that's just from my experience, right? Because at the end of the day, it's hard because there's.
Yeah.
It's hard to answer that and starting to stay private.
Yeah, exactly.
No, that's okay. I'll speak on it.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. I mean, it's not as easy as everyone thinks. Like, I've definitely had two types of situations happen. Where one situation, I like the girl or they like me, or two, we just like vibed and that was it. So I've had both kind of situations happen, and
you both started off as friends, right?
Yeah.
And then one, it's like, to me, it's almost like, okay, I find this person attractive, and we're friends.
Is that why you became friends?
We're friends, but see, yeah, that's what I'm saying too. If you guys are friends and you have that attraction, it's like, okay, if she calls you and is like, hey, like, let's link up, you're gonna be all right, bet. Like, so there's like that situation versus like, I feel like it, just to be like genuine friends, it has to be no like attraction towards that person.
There's always those things where like somebody's attracted to somebody, like that they say that's there.
Yeah.
And I'm speaking from experience, but there was always something amongst that. But I can't speak for other people because everybody has different experiences.
Yeah, but I think it's like, what, I get where you're coming from, and I would say from my experience, appearance versus attraction, like distinguishing those, because I can think someone's really beautiful and not be attracted to them, but I think appearance is like, because like we live in a world where that person's beautiful, but it's like, yeah, but would I really be attracted to them? And I think the more that you get in depth with like what you want and who you are, attraction just starts to look different. And I'm going to use an example. Like, I had a woman friend who was very beautiful, and we tried to make things work and it didn't work out, but now we're like homies, like one of my best friends. But it's because like, I think too, like, it's hard to like create that boundary again once you've like gone into intimacy. Like, not everybody can.
That's what I was gonna say, because I'm like,
to-
okay, if you got to the point to where there's
You tried
intimacy,
to have a relationship,
right? And then to me, I'm like, I've seen you in ways that like a relationship should be. So it's like almost hard to be friends with you because that's
you had
how
that connection already.
Yeah.
And I get that could be hard, but I'm saying from my personal experience, I've just matured in so many different ways where I'm like, yeah, like if I'm literally just basing our relationship off of what we did intimately and like losing a great person out of it, like that's kind of shallow of me. Because, and I'm using one of my best friends, which I won't disclose names, but yeah, we were intimate and
it was me.
it just, it's rough. It just is one of these trophies. It just didn't work out, but like, I thought it would be awkward, and it was like awkward at first, but the more that we were just like, hey, like, cool, we tried this and had a discussion about it, the easier it made it for us to be friends, and we could still like josh around, hug, hang out with each other daily. And I'm just like, I'm so glad that I didn't sever this relationship because we tried to experiment intimately, because not everyone in your life is meant to be your significant other as far as like boyfriend and girlfriend, but they could still be good friends. And I mean, that also goes to like the future. Like, if you do get in a relationship and you do have a girl best friend, it's like, hey, like, maturity wise, like, I don't see them that way, and this is the history, and being open about it, because I've dated girls too who are like, and I've heard this question, should people be friends with their ex? I'm like, yeah, you shouldn't, out of respect for me, right? Like, that's the boundary that I have, and either you choose to abide by it or you don't. But I'm just letting you know, it makes me uncomfortable. But I'm also not going to be an a-hole and be controlling because I'm letting my insecurities take over. You know,
See,
I'm just not insecure.
I feel like
You know
I'm
what I
not
mean?
either, but that's where I would cross the line, because
It's respectable.
yes, and I feel like respect in a relationship is probably one of the top things that you want in a relationship. And I feel like if you're telling your significant other, hey, I think you shouldn't be friends with your ex or whatever the situation is, I think that she should respect you enough to kind of cut that off, and you guys continue. I think it'll just be better for both parties because
healthier.
It's definitely because to me it's just I don't see it working like that. Yeah. That's just my perspective.
No, definitely.
Yeah, it's 100%. Discomforting for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, like when you ask for things, like that's just a boundary you're setting. I think there's a right way to ask, and that's what I'm trying to get at. Like there's a right way to ask for the things that you want and what's going to be healthy for your relationship, and there's a wrong way. And I look at jealousy as an example, right? I'm not jealous because I'm insecure. I'm jealous because you're mine. And I want you to myself. I don't want to share you with anybody. But I think like that is a perfect example of what I'm just talking about as far as friendships go. Like, of course, I respect the fact that I'm aware that you had other relationships prior than me. So like I would be kind of ignorant if I were just like, it's only me, only ever going to be me. But out of respect for our relationship, I just prefer this boundary being set and you respect it.
Exactly.
No shame to him. He's probably a great guy because obviously you dated him. And I'm using girlfriends because I date women. Just not Rob.
I got a wig on most of the time.
You know what I mean? But I just think that it's hard for people to communicate until something actually pisses them off. And then when they get pissed off, they're like triggered. All their triggers come up. But I'm like, dude, if you're so secure, right, in yourself and you're confident in yourself, like some of these things are easy conversations. Yeah. But I use jealousy as like a common one because I used to be over jealous and I was like, I don't want, where are you at? Who are you hanging out with? If a guy talks to you, like it pisses me off and I attack them. But I'm like, oh, I'm actually just insecure, really insecure. Like I don't feel confident. And it's fair. Like if you're dating an attractive person and you're out in public or they go out with their friends, like, and someone hits on them, like that's fair because what if that dude doesn't even know? You just say what's up to each other. Now, if it gets too far where my partner is like allowing it to
and she's not
exacerbate, then I would blame her and have a conversation with her. But I think it just leads back to like the trust thing. Like no one trusts anybody anymore. You know what I mean? But I'm like, if you're so confident in yourself, like if they even choose to like entertain some guy or giving out their number or whatever the case may be, like that's on them and they don't belong with me because I deserve more than that and I know I'm worth more than that.
Exactly. Yeah. You have to have that self-respect.
But a lot of people do. I think the lack of self-respect in today's society is pretty sad. And so when we have conversations like this, because I've had conversations with my friends who are insecure and they're like, well, I should do this. I'm like, but why, bro? Like they just don't understand it because they're just like, no one wants to acknowledge their problems enough to fix it. And I'm not saying that's speaking on behalf of everybody, but from the people that I've had conversations with, I'm like, you have a lot of growing up to do, buddy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yep. So
to ask the question similar to this topic, and this might be I'm going to say sensitive topic, but I don't know. But so I'm going to start off with just friendships, right? Do all friendships have to have some sort of benefit gain to you as a person?
Good question.
Or can there be those friendships where they're just there, existing? Because I'm going to jump into the next question of it, like the secondary question, is does a man get a benefit if a woman is his friend? It's platonic. There's no feelings, right? But as a woman, does he gain anything from that woman? Or sorry, as that man, does he gain anything from that woman being in that friendship? Or does a woman gain more from the man? Because when that woman needs her TV to be hung, I need my furniture moved because I'm moving to a new place, she calls to that man. Hey, could you come help me this? Hey, could you come help me that? Hey, could you do this? But what does a man go to for a woman in a friendship that's a relationship? Sorry. What does a man go for a woman in a friendship that's not a relationship at all? Like there's no sexual tension, there's no intimate, it's just a really platonic friendship.
Yeah.
Can a man gain anything out of that? And that's just me throwing it because I've heard so many conversations where the answer is no. Because a woman will always get more out of a man in a friendship than a man getting more out of a woman in a friendship. That's platonic.
I think. Well, go for it, Avi. Do you want to talk on this one?
I don't. I feel like I don't have too much to say on this topic because I've never experienced it. I feel like I don't really have any like like a platonic just friendship with any females. I have female acquaintances, but
that part. But there's not that solid friendship.
Exactly. And I think when you're talking about friendship and who gains more, yeah, I never really thought about it, but the way that you kind of put it together is who's she going to call when
TV needs to be hung,
or hey, can you clean my gutters, or like, but that's almost jumping into like, is that really a thing for like a friendship to do, you know?
But then again, let's say if John was moving, he's going to reach out to us. Hey,
I need help. I need some help.
Hey,
tomorrow.
could you come help us move? If you need help tomorrow, let me know. Tomorrow's Friday?
Yeah.
We'll talk more after.
Okay.
But like, for example, if John needs help moving out, he's not going to go contact his female acquaintances. He's probably going to reach out to his gym bros and, hey, guys, come help me out. Because, some physical move stuff. Versus when he looks to his female acquaintances, I'm just using John as an example, when would he reach out to them versus them reaching out to him?
Like you'd be like,
that's why I asked that question. Is there a...
It almost plays into male, masculine and feminine roles.
There we go.
Because you're gonna jump into, like for a female, I guess like what you could go say it's platonic and you're out working as a man, you're doing what you're doing and
being the provider.
Exactly. You call up your female platonic friend and it's like, hey, what's for dinner? But I don't want to say it like that because everybody's going to take it a certain way. But you could put it like that. Like, there's a lot of guys that don't really...
There's a role to play and everyone has their role,
kind of, yeah.
Well, my thing, your first question, I do have friends that don't benefit me, but they
benefit from you?
Sometimes, but I think it would be like what you would consider like what a benefit is, because I have friends, right? I make good money. I'm a different class than they are, and I'm pretty smart. You know what I mean?
Handsome.
Thank you. But I would say like, I'm not, but I don't know what, like the friends that I'm with aren't at the same level for me. So, but I've also had boundaries where I'm like, cool, like they know, like when you're with the right people, there's not that expectation of like, I need to be benefiting from you. And I know like the term, you are who you surround yourself by, but I am, like when I become close friends, I look at like the heart and the intentions of somebody. Like all my friends, like hands down, like even my boy and Jose, I would only bring people around that I know that carry the same values as us. And he knows the same thing. Like, yeah, he will only introduce me to people that he knows confidently will fit in morally. And then as far as the women and women and male friends, right? I think like because of the stereotypes, like
the roles.
Yeah, the woman has to do this, male has to do this. It kind of ruins friendships. But I also don't expect anything from my women friends, and it's strictly like platonic. Like I even hit up in my regional, I'm gonna use my regional as an example. Like she's someone I text all the time and like I hang out with daily, even at work, and she helps me move and like we go to lunch together. But I don't look at her as like, I don't know, like I don't want to say like a woman because I know she's a woman, but it would be different. She's like a bro. Yeah, like a bro. And but there are certain things I hit my guy friends up with, like moving a heavy couch. I know she would do it. So not to get off topic, but I do think you just reach a level of maturity where you just acknowledge them for, again, who they are rather than what they are. A woman being a woman, a guy being a guy. Because I also was like a mama's boy growing up. So I just feel more comfortable having girlfriends and respect them and don't expect any sort of intimacy than I do guys, because I just didn't have a father around. You know what I mean? But I also have some really great male friends, and not to say like one way outweighs the other. But I think it's just like sometimes I do think, and I'm speaking on behalf of guys because I am a guy and once was in the same space. I think guys are too immature to have girlfriends.
We're both
Bro, see, because I'm processing it.
And not to call anybody out who
No,
doesn't,
yeah.
but I do think like it takes a sort of like some sort of experience or level of maturity to be able to acknowledge a woman as a friend without expecting intimacy. But I think, and this could go girls to guys too, unspoken expectations are relationship killers. I think if people were clear and concise about their boundaries and like talk things through, we would have less confusion.
Would that come out to whoever initiated that conversation first? Would that come out egotistical towards the person who's receiving that message or no? Like, do you think that could be confused with ego?
Dude, I actually appreciate, I mean, my pride was hurt. And I'm using an example. Like, I've spoken to a girl and I like was trying to get at her, whatever. And the one thing that I appreciate the most was that she was like brutally honest with me and was just like, hey, like I just am not attracted to you like that. Like I like you as a person and I enjoy spending time with you, but I think we are better off friends. And at first I reacted and I was like heartbroken and like I tried to push him away, but I was like, I came to a conclusion. I was like, oh yeah, you're right. I don't need to be in a relationship with you to be a friend with you.
That's genuine.
Yeah.
That's genuine. That's where that
I think
maturity
as
starts
long
to form.
as, yeah, exactly. The maturity's there and the boundary is set. So as long as you're not immature about the situation, then maybe it can work out. I just haven't been in those types of situations.
Yeah. And I think I just have had experience, but also like, yeah, I mean, transparency is like very helpful in helping navigate things. Yeah, and
Let me
switch it up.
switch it out real quick. And then we can
We're almost wrapping
after we
up.
come back, we can
You
wrap
said
it up
7?
on that topic.
What time is it? It's almost 8.
Yeah.
We could wrap it up after this.
Switch I mean, we're not too late. It's got 3 minutes left.
Okay, I just gotta pee.
Let me call this guy back.
Yeah, as we get back into it, I think too, like my piece of advice is like,
So much goes here.
I don't know why I thought of this, but like keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer. Like the enemy in this world, and I'm using enemy metaphorically, I'm sorry, would be women. Like we want to get to know them, right? Like, and I say keep them close, and that might be a poor phrase to use, but like my women friends have helped me not only become a better partner, understanding women, and like witnessing like how they act and how they speak, whatever. But they've also just made me a better man because now I'm more considerate towards things that women find.
Because you have those values that you learn from them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say like because of my women friends, I've just become a better man in general. And I can now like have interactions with women and understand them and laugh and see the things that they see and be like, cool, like I'm still masculine,
Right.
but I think also guys are kind of afraid of being emasculated, at times. But I might not be the best example, and I'm not trying to boast, but like I have gay friends and I have trans friends and I have women's friends, and not once do I ever feel like I'm emasculated or I stand strong in who I am, but also I'm being more susceptible to who people are and what they are. And yeah, it's just made me better socially. And then, sorry to get too off topic, but yeah, I think like being friends with women has its benefits. And I would say like, I just get to understand women more, and there's no expectation there. It's just like, hey, you're a cool person and I enjoy your company. And I use my regional as an example because she's my bestie. She is. And it's like, it's not weird at all. Like we do things that guys would do and we do things that girls would do. Like if she wants to go get her nails done and she needs somebody to keep her company, I'll go sit there, not get my nails done, which I used to paint my nails. So I'm not opposed to it, but all that to say is like I do think men have a lot to learn from women. I do think women have a lot to learn from men, but it doesn't always have to be the relationship or in a relationship to do so.
I like that. I genuinely like that because when this conversation first started, I had originated with the conclusion that a woman cannot be friends with a man. But now, as I've matured, as you said, like it takes time to mature. I think it's possible, but there's those certain boundaries and everything that has to be laid out kind of in the beginning, having that conversation. So there's no confusion. There's no someone being misled or anything like that. Because once you do fortify that friendship, and I don't have a friendship like that right now. I have female acquaintances in my life, but they're not people like I go to or anything like that. Because it's just me and my woman. And I guess in the future, when opportunities do present themselves, whether it's through work or through family or something like that, I strongly, firmly believe like, hey, just friends, just this. But thank you for providing me an insight on how a woman can think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, but at the same time, if you have your girl and she asks you, hey, I don't think you should be hanging out with so and so. What are you gonna do then?
So to be a little bit vulnerable in my relationship, my lady and I, we spoke of if we think somebody does not suit somebody well in our lives, whether if it's a friend, a worker, or whatever, we have that ability to say, "Hey, I don't think I don't think I don't think that person should be in your life because of X, Y, and Z."
And
they have to give
your
really
partner to
respect
respect
that.
it. Okay.
And they have to really open your eyes and peel back the layers, not just, hey, I don't like them because of I'm insecure because I think this, because like you have to provide those firm foundations. As in, I don't want you around that person because they do bad habits, because they're always talking crap about people. They're just a bad influence.
Yeah.
And that's that maturity where if you don't like this person because you're insecure, then they're not the problem. The problem is that we need to work on why are you insecure? What can we do to fix that? So going forward, you can mature better. And this is me not talking about my relationship anymore. It's kind of almost that common sense of what you would do in a situation like that. Because a lot of people like to attack the person that makes them feel insecure versus fixing why are you insecure?
Yeah.
Who hurt you in your past, or what views do you have on that?
Yeah, and I think one thing too, and this has helped me a lot actually, because like now that I have women friends, like when I start dating someone, it's actually increased my standards a little bit, because now I consider how will this girl interact with not only my guy friends, but like my girlfriends as well, because I want opinions, and guys are going to have a different opinion and perspective than women will. But then I look at my mom and my sisters, who are some of my closest friends as well, and I want my partner to be able to like socialize and not be awkward. But all that to say is like I mean, to go back to what Rob said, I think there's levels and boundaries to like how they are hanging out. Because like say I date a girl, right, and she has a childhood friend who they've been best friends since they're 4 years old, right? He's married or whatever, or he has a girlfriend, and like they just want to grab lunch. Like I don't see a problem with that. Like as long as like they know I'm in the picture, you know, I'd prefer to meet them firsthand, like in a group setting, and then like if I get more context and more of a history, then I can be like, cool, like I trust my partner enough based on what they told me to like go and have lunch. Like I don't care. Go
Versus
have lunch.
like a random Joe that you've never heard of. Like, hey, I'm gonna go get lunch with random Joe that you've never been with before.
Yeah, and it's very
at
circumstantial.
8:00 at night, I was like, oh.
Yeah, very objective and very circumstantial. But I mean, again, like it's just like I feel confident with that, and that's not everybody's taste. Like there's obviously going to be different boundaries in different relationships for different people. But as far as like that goes, I wouldn't let my partner go on a overnight trip with the dude by himself, you know what I mean? But if he was like, if she, I mean, they lived in another state and he's married and like, and they're gonna go visit, then I'd be like, cool, like, don't do anything stupid and be smart, be safe. And if I find out, I find out, and that's consequences in itself. You know what I mean? And so I just hope that I have a relationship and a desire from my partner for me so much that they don't make foolish mistakes like that.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? But yeah, all that to say is like I do think there are benefits of women being your friends, and I do think that guys get those benefits, and I do think girls get benefits from guys as well. That's why there's wing men, wing women, but also, You know, I don't feel the need to be in an intimate relationship with a girl because I have so many great girlfriends who are just cool. You know what I mean? And that also raised the bar a little bit because I'm like, oh, this is how I want my relationship with my significant other to be. Like, I wanted them to feel like a bro and like be able to hang out with my friends and my guy friends and like vibe and chill and go do the things that we like to do. But I've also been in the past where I'm like, it's all about me, 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 and I've put us in a cave. And I'm like, that's not fair because I just blocked out everyone who's important. And when that relationship ends, who's still there? You know what I mean?
I like that.
So, all that to say,
And that is a consequence too.
Yeah, there's learning that comes with it, and I'm not perfect, and I'm not the best person to give relationship advice. I'm not Hitch, I'm not Will Smith, but I do, and that's just my personal opinions on the topic. But I can see how, you know, especially nowadays, it's hard to think that way, and believe that way.
Very much so. Very much so. There's a lot of anxiety, a lot of insecurities, a lot of everything. People like to pin it on other people, but that's where we all grow. That's where we all mature. And I had to go through that in a way. What, 3 years ago, something like that, I went through my own stuff. And I had to go through that. Now I have a completely different perspective on society.
Yeah. Well, I think sex, like everybody, girls think guys just want sex, and guys somewhat do just want sex with girls, and it could go the other way too, where guys just think girls want sex or finances. So I do think that there are other. It's all about intentions. Like, what are your intentions here? Like, what do you actually want? Do you want these things, or do you want me for who I am and not what I can give you?
You gotta set the boundaries.
Boundaries, like in the beginning, yeah. And all I was gonna mention is like, I think that's the difference between a guy and a man. And I was just telling this to my friend the other day. It's like I define a man as somebody who's a great father. Is when you have that, and that's just me. Again, my opinion doesn't matter, but that's what defines a man is a great father, because you are now responsible for a life form that shows if you're a great father, you're there for them. You have, I'm hoping, a great spouse because you have a great family. You know, you're able to build that, and that's the example of a man. Versus a guy, it's like, let me go get at this girl, let me go get at that girl, let me go do all this, and that's where that maturity happens, and the guy turns into that man. That's just mine. There's so many other examples that could be what defines a man, but that's a question within itself: is what defines a man?
Yeah,
like a man, you know.
And I watched a TikTok too, and it was like so many guys want a woman but act like a boy, and so many women want a man but act like a girl.
Exactly.
Like level up, grow up, mature. And you know, I want to be a man amongst men. Like, I don't want to be stereotyped with all these individuals, and I think it just comes with like the sex that I was born into. But like, I'm a man. But yeah, I just think like things are just so twisted and convoluted nowadays, and there's again so many insecurities and so many opinions. It's like, bro, like, if you're doing the right thing for yourself, you know, who cares what everyone else is doing? And if you find the right woman, you'll know. You'll feel it. But there's like a level, because I know it's like sacrifice or compromise for the love. It's like, yeah, but there's like an extent to that. You shouldn't have to sacrifice so much that you're sacrificing who you are and what you're about. Because no one likes stressful relationships.
No, not at all.
Unhealthy stress. There is good stress.
Oh, definitely.
Like boundary setting.
Definitely.
You know,
And I'm exposed
arguments.
to that now.
Yeah, absolutely. But
it's healthy.
That is my take on man versus woman.
Love it.
I think that's gonna be a wrap for now. We're a bit on a time crunch. We gotta go.
I like your watch, bro.
Thank you. It's 4 o'clock.
Ooh.
Tattooed on.
He got the contact lenses.
What is that? Apple Vision Pros.
You need,
the Vision?
You need eye surgery.
I do. I need LASIK.
Dude, it's at the gym sometimes. Like, I see you, but I don't bother saying hi because like he's like,
My favorite thing too was one time when you had me walk you to go find a friend.
Oh,
you were
yeah.
like, where they at? And I was like, I got you.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. I was like,
I didn't grab your hand, but I was like, all right.
like, yeah,
the blind leading the blind.
Like, oh, yeah.
I'm like, this, like,
God. There you go.
I'm like, there, just walk that way, but and he went this way. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I walked in the opposite direction.
Anyways, good episode.
Yeah, that was a good one.
The only announcement we have is next week, the 22nd of this month, we're gonna go pick up shirts. And after that, give us some time to build a website and everything because I'm going to be busy towards the end of the month, like crazy busy. So juggle stuff around. But yeah, shirts will be coming soon. And I actually do mention the shirts a lot to people. And people are like, hey, send me the website whenever it comes out. So see how that goes. So, but yeah, that's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
Yeah. Wait, see, I don't have my glasses on.
I missed one, so you're not alone.
You are not
Thank
alone.
you.
See? Blind dude. He's trying to give you a high five.
I tried giving you a high five, and you were like,